Elon lost the faith and trust of the Reddit crowd a long time ago. Now he's losing it with the gamer crowd. Good lord, look at the views on this Charlie video, huh? Elon Musk pathetic meltdown, 531,000 views 1 hour ago. Sheesh! Okay, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are unaware, for those of you not in the know, Elon Musk has for at least a year now been pretending to be a world-class player at certain Western action RPGs, particularly Diablo 4 at first, and now Path of Exile 2. Let's get the full context in here, okay? A while ago, Elon Musk played Elden Ring, and he posted a screenshot of the build that he was running, which was so funny that it became infamous. If you're not very familiar with Elden Ring, like you don't know how the game works or know what the items do or whatever, that's fine. I'm not going to waste time explaining it. The basic gist of it is, if you know how Elden Ring works, you look at this and this image is very funny. It betrays the fact that Elon has no idea what he's doing, and not in an endearing, oh, he's figuring the game out kind of way, but in a more persistent, he's actually put a lot of time into this and still doesn't know what he's doing in really obvious ways. Like, again, if you're looking at this and you get it, okay. If you don't get it, that's fine. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time explaining. I think this could have come across as quite endearing if Elon was basically like, yeah, I'm busy with my companies. I've been playing some Elden Ring because it's been really good. I'm not that great, but here's my build or whatever. And people would have seen it as like an endearing, down to earth kind of thing. You know, people would have thought like, okay, Elon's not a super duper Elon, you know, like Elden Ring gamer lord or whatever, but it's cool that a guy that rich and powerful still plays video games. And I fully believe he's playing this, by the way, because it looks so bad. No one would fake this. That would be silly. Anyway, apparently the derision he got from this really got to him, because over the past year or so, he has been taking credit for the performance of one particular character in Diablo 4 that's been running really high-end rifts. He's been taking credit. He's been saying he's one of the top Diablo 4 players out there, and I accused him a long time ago. I said this was botting, or that he was paying somebody else to play the account for him. It takes an enormous amount of time to get to the top of the leaderboards in a game like Diablo 4 or even Path of Exile or whatever else. Like you have to put in so much time. It's not even a skill thing necessarily. It's just a time thing, you know? But if you knew even a little bit about Elon and the way those games were being played, it was pretty evident that it was being faked. And as it turns out, yeah, it was being faked. About a week ago, Elon made the mistake of live streaming some of his gameplay to X the Everything app, and people picked apart the video footage and found extremely compelling, obvious, undeniable evidence that Elon was lying. Not only was Elon lying, okay, not only was he paying Chinese people to play it was in this case Path of Exile 2 game up to a very high level. Not only was he lying about that, he was arrogant enough to think that he could play with his bot account and live and convince people. And it turns out this goes really deep, man. There were points where Elon Musk was pretending to live stream games, but was actually just like in the camera while video footage of the game was playing. During the gameplay footage that he was showing, like there was stuff indicating that he clearly had no idea how to use the UI. And the thing that sticks most with me, I guess, is how stupid you'd have to be as Elon Musk to think people wouldn't notice that you're faking it. Like seriously think about that. Think about how arrogant you would have to be, or how desperate you would have to be for accolades. And I think this is fully because of the embarrassment that he felt with the Elden Ring thing, with him screenshotting that build back when he did actually play that game. Like genuinely, it'd be like taking credit for somebody else's basketball play, and then you're like, all right, man, time to show you all the reason why I'm number one, and you go out there having never played a game of basketball in your life, or paying someone else to boost your chess.com account, and then you're like, yeah, man, I'm like 2100 ELO. I'm pretty darn good. I'm going to go out there and do some matches myself and live stream it so people can see how good I am. And then you're like flubbing every single game because you have no idea what you're doing. It's insane. Why would you even fake it? Because I genuinely think that his ego was hurt by the way people were mocking him. Elon's a narcissist. It's not enough that he be the wealthiest and most powerful man on earth, which he is. He also has to be beloved and perfect at everything. The problem is he's genuinely really stupid and insecure, so he's not capable of like laughing off the mistakes. You know what I mean? It refers both to like a lack of intelligence, like genuinely below average, and a critical personality failure. So all of this is pre-existing context, and nothing that I've said, by the way, is in doubt. Like all the stuff about him faking the gaming, this is not in question. Everyone has accepted this. Everyone agrees. It's been found, to the point where channels like Asmongold, you know, pro-Trump slop channels for low IQ game tards, have been covering it. Elon Musk is not getting away with this. Asmongold reacts to, of course it's reacts to, that's Asmongold's preferred way of engaging with content, not that I'm one to talk. Elon Musk, fraud gamer, scandal clueless, boosted fake, bold text. This man is not gaming. His is not world first. World's richest billionaire replaced by H-1B Indian. Chinese, actually, but, you know. Where Asmongold, I mean...
Everybody was wondering, why is it that Elon Musk cares so much about H-1B visas? This explains it. He wants to get the people that are playing his accounts into America so he doesn't have IP address conflicts and get his account flagged. Now everything makes sense.
I have a lifetime of playing video games. At one point I was, you know, maybe one of the best Quake players in the world.
You're actually like a world-class, incredible video game player.
Yeah.
Paragon board and the build, you're also an innovator there.
Yeah, I played a little.
So, again, it's a personality defect, really. You know it's gotten bad when channels like Asmongold are covering this negatively. By the way, if you want to watch like a total summary of like the extent to which Elon Musk has been caught on this, you can go ahead and watch the Asmongold video. I covered like before a Reddit thread detailing specific obvious tells in a clip from one of his live streams. The total evidence of him being a freak over this is massive. It's not just one live stream. It is over years of lying about his gameplay, pretending, taking accolades for it, like doing this pantomime, this theater. Absolutely insane. It's pretty crazy, but it gets funnier. So Elon is not a person. He's an empty husk, and he views things like art and games in particular as nothing more than like a vehicle by which to affirm himself and fill his empty heart with the affirmation of others. Very typical narcissism shit. You see this sometimes on people in like, it's the kind of stuff that you would see like in people exposed in what, like a Carl Jobs video, you know what I mean? Like speedrunners who cheat, except he's literally the wealthiest person on earth. After Asmongold put out this video, Elon Musk started attacking him on Twitter, unfollowed him, and leaked their DMs. Incredible. So Elon has been responding to a bunch of people who have been commenting on the situation because he actually looks at his notifications, which is insane. I have no idea how he looks at his notifications. He's got to have like hundreds or even thousands every minute. I don't know how he parses them. Maybe that's where his IQ... That's the reason why he seems like such a fucking idiot. It's because all of his neurons are being dedicated to actually replying to the people who add him despite owning the platform and getting added a bajillion times a day. Asmon behaves like a maverick independent, but in reality has to ask his boss for permission before he can do anything. He is not his own man. And leaks conversation with Asmongold, in which Asmongold describes the way in which his channel is managed. And the way in which Asmongold's channel is managed is that two of his editors run his YouTube account. They edit content from his live streams, upload it, and get a cut of the revenue. Elon is arguing this means his two editors are his bosses. This is how basically every single live streamer's channel is run. This is the most innocuous thing you could call a person out on. You're not even calling a person out on it. There's nothing to call out. This is how every live streamer's channel functions. Is yours run that way too? Absolutely. The live streamer live streams, and then the stuff gets cut up, edited, so on and so forth by the editors who manage the actual production of YouTube content. There are some live streamers who will edit their own content. Obviously, it's more common when you have a smaller channel. But if you have a larger channel, like Asmongold's, huge channel, yeah, this is how it's always... It's not a secret. It's extremely well known. But because Elon is the way he is, I'm running out of synonyms for like ableism, basically. I think that Elon thinks that this is an atypical way of running a channel, and that by editors, he thinks Asmongold means editors like at a newspaper, where an editor does a second pass and can block things from the original source. Like an editor in a newspaper doesn't just proofread. They review, assess, and make judgment calls about what's acceptable, like censors. Whereas in a YouTube context, an editor edits the videos. I genuinely think Elon thinks that's what that means. I don't have another explanation for Elon posting this and leaking the DMs. To give you an idea of how perma-online Elon is and how aggressively he's responding to people who are talking about this, a small channel, and I don't know how small their Twitch and YouTube is. I can tell you this much, though. Their Twitter account has 552 followers, added Elon Musk in the post of a video clip where they're talking about this drama. Elon Musk replied, and that's where you get this from. It got community noted. I expect the community note to get removed. Asmongold does not have bosses. He employs content editors. Yeah. This is how YouTube works. Here's me doing a world record Diablo AOZ clear with Ace of Spades HQ on stream. He's still trying to keep this up. He's actually still, the evidence against him is irrefutable. There's absolutely no question. Him digging his heels in on this, because when has Elon ever been able to admit that he was wrong on anything? It has literally never happened. And the reason for that is, again, I don't know how many times I can keep coming back to this, but like my central thesis here, it's not just that he's stupid, he is significantly worse in every way than the average person. He is less emotionally stable, less socially competent, less self-aware, and less intelligent than an ordinary day-to-day person. If you picked a random person up from, I don't know, a bar or like a waiter, from a construction site, from anywhere, any job, any field, whatever, I think odds are very good you would pull someone better positioned to be him than he. You know? Homeless guy off the street? Hell yeah, man. I can tell you this much, okay? I got harassed by a lot of homeless people in East Hollywood while living in LA. None of them would be crashing out over this, okay? Old Joe on Hollywood Boulevard who comes out after 8 p.m., he's not out here on X the Everything app pretending to be a top-tier PoE2 player, okay? So he is the median voter? No, actually, because median means median. He's less than the median voter. Yeah, this is like unironically a huge setback for the autistic community. It's not good for us folks. They're gonna institute a pogrom against autistic people using the 5 years from now. You know, it's rough. Anyway, he's been crashing out over this like a lot. Ian Miles Chung, his prime sycophant, to the extent that like it's the main thing he gets made fun of for, or made fun of for these days. I'm on hundreds of streams on YouTube/Twitch playing live with the world's best players. No other way to say this, but while Asmon is good at caustic commentary and making fun of people, he is not good at video games. Okay, well, you have to give the devil his due. Asmongold he was pretty good at WoW, right? You know, I've seen some moments, you know. We don't need to engage with it. We don't need to talk about it. It's funny is what it is. It's one of those things where if you're interested in like jumping in for DramaTube or whatever, you can probably right now find a billion videos on YouTube that are covering this really thoroughly. But I'm going to leave that to them, in part because I really don't care about like gathering the 50,000 like Elon Musk tweets or whatever. And also because I think there's more interesting stuff to talk about. I genuinely think this is the reason why we have hope for the future. I have said so many times before that like in a material sense, the confluence of forces against us, and by us, of course, I mean like human beings, the working class, everyone really, the interests of humanity are massive and unprecedented in all of human history. There has never been an owning class so well organized and so wealthy and so capable of reaffirming their control. It is so convenient for us that they are still humans, and in this case with Elon, like a remarkably unexceptional human. Stuff like this, these ego failings, this incompetence, this is what drives people apart. Like, keep in mind, no matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you have, Maintaining power over billions of people actually takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and oftentimes a lot of smarts, you know? And I just don't see it. In 2016, Trump failed, and Trump's sycophants, his allies, failed to get a lot of what they wanted to do done, in large part because Trump and the people around him, his loyalists, were too incompetent to actually like work the system intelligently and achieve what they wanted to achieve. And despite consolidating far more power this time around, I think that we might end up seeing the same thing happen to a large extent. You just like incompetence will always be a hamstring. There's no way around it. You know, you can't have so much power and money that it stops being important that you be competent in order for you to maintain control. Like he's going to have to work with Trump. He's going to have to talk to other politicians. He's going to have to work with Republican senators, most of whom are significantly more intelligent and dignified than him. And that's a low bar. It's just funny. Anyway, it's actually not the only Elon crash out IQ related thing that happened in the past 24 hours. In addition to his beefing with Asmongold, Sam Harris put out a Substack article in which he talked about a bet that he made with Elon, which if you'll allow me, Elon and I didn't converge on a common view of epidemiology over the course of those 2 hours, but we hit upon a fun compromise, a wager. Elon bet me $1 million to be given to charity against a bottle of fancy tequila, $1,000, that we would not see as many as 35,000 cases of COVID in the United States. Cases, not deaths. The terms of the bet reflected what was, in his estimation, the near certainty, 1,000 to 1, that he was right. Having already heard credible estimates that there could be 1 million deaths from COVID in the US over the next 12 to 18 months, these estimates proved fairly accurate, I thought the terms of the bet ridiculous and quite unfair to Elon. I offered to spot him 2 orders of magnitude. I was confident that we'd soon have 3.5 million cases of COVID in the US. Elon accused me of having lost my mind and insisted that we stick to a ceiling of 35,000. We communicated sporadically by text over the next couple of weeks while the reported number of cases grew. Ominously, Elon dismissed the next batch of data reported by the CDC as merely presumptive, while confirmed cases of COVID on his account remained elusive. A few weeks later, when the CDC website finally reported 35,000 deaths from COVID in the US and 600,000 cases, I sent Elon the following text. Is 35,000 deaths plus 600,000 cases more than 35,000 cases? This text appears to have ended our friendship. Elon never responded, and it was not long before he began maligning me on Twitter for a variety of imaginary offenses. For my part, I eventually started complaining about the startling erosion of his integrity on my podcast without providing any detail about what had transpired between us. Now, I'm not out here pouring one out for Sam Harris. You know, this is very much an example of like him being tolerant of Elon's retardation up until it came to bite him specifically. But yeah, this is kind of like the man we're dealing with here. Elon's like gamer crash out, his illegitimacy in the eyes of people now like Asmongold is a larger deal than you're probably willing to give it credit for. Most people do not follow politics day to day. Most people don't follow it like fastidiously. They don't keep up with all the details. Most people are kind of stupid and ignorant, you know? And like, I blame them for that a little bit, but also to a large extent, I understand that, you know, not if everyone was as tuned into politics as the people who are like on politics Twitter or whatever, life in general would be insufferable, you know. To some extent we need that buffer. And to those people, support for Elon usually has more to do with cultural signifiers than it does with any specific things that he's done or that he's said, you know. For the most part, when people decide who they like, at first they make an intuitive assessment of who they find trustworthy, usually based on cultural proximity or social signifiers, and then they take them at their word based on how much they find them trustworthy. You know, you vibe with a person and then you like judge what they say or what they don't say. This is the reason why most of the time arguments between right and left-leaning people go over each other's heads. Now, I think for the most part, arguments made by right-leaning people are dog shit and not worth listening to anyway, so I'll just focus on arguments made by left-leaning people. You can be left-leaning and make a perfectly good argument that is factually correct, backed up by data, accessible by nonpartisan sources, and is beneficial to literally everyone. A great example being climate change, right? I promise you, climate change is not benefiting anyone on Earth. 0 people are benefiting from it. It is bad for everyone. But a lot of people who deny climate change will reflexively doubt the stuff that they're told because the people telling them those objectively true facts are coming from social or cultural groups that they have been taught to distrust. Oh, that person has purple hair. Oh, that person is an egghead scientist. Oh, that person is a liberal. It's not about what they say, it's about who they are. And a lot of the support for Elon has grown in conjunction with the increasing prominence of lonely, socially maligned, socially inexperienced, like loser young men who don't have many job prospects and just kind of like sit at home gaming. You know, like Elon is crazy popular with that like incel light crowd, not just the crazy would-be school shooters, but people who, you know, think it's awesome and rad to finally have like a gamer up there, you know, like the previous billionaires, they were all like stock brokers and eggheads, and they're all business people in suits. But Elon's like an epic meme man. He has the memes, you know, he's got the memes. He plays the games. He's like us. So trust for Elon is a vibes thing more so than it is people like assessing the value of his statements bit by bit. Yeah, he's our guy. And now he's not their guy anymore. He's actually had 2 not our guy moments recently, because the previous one was with the H-1B visa controversy, which Asmongold referenced because he and much of his community are very racist, where Elon indicated that in spite of how racist he is, he values the ability to exploit foreign workers more than empty virtue signal posting about building a white ethno-state, you know? And then a bunch of, despite him retweeting and agreeing with Nazis on Twitter for years now, a bunch of Nazis on Twitter disavowed him because he lost the our guy status. And now he's losing it with the gamer crowd because he is having a really, really, really embarrassing crash out. I'm just trying to explain why this matters. For most people, it's about the vibe. The vibe first, you know? It's about establishing the trust, establishing the rapport, and after that, people will trust what you say. It's the reason why the podcast that has probably convinced the most people of political positions they now hold ever in human history, probably the Joe Rogan Experience. Even though Joe Rogan fans will usually be the first to admit Joe Rogan himself is not that bright. Like Joe Rogan himself, like most Joe Rogan fans would tell you, yeah, Joe Rogan's not that smart. Yeah, Joe Rogan just, you know, he's like a monkey man, you know? Like, oh yeah, Joe Rogan, he's like a goofball. He just brings people on and goes like, or agrees with them or whatever. And yet, I bet you Joe Rogan has had more of an effect convincing other people of their political positions than almost any media figure in history. And it's because he's really good at setting a vibe that people trust. You all understand what I'm talking about, right? I feel like I'm speaking to an empty room, but there's actually like thousands of people watching. So like you had to, I'm looking at the YouTube chat, but look, you know, I'm used to the chat up here. You get me, right? First and foremost, yeah, it's about the vibes. So Elon has compromised the vibes. Elon can say stupid, objectively shit as much as he wants, and to people who have already decided that his vibes are good, they won't care. But his vibes are not good. He's on Twitter attacking Asmongold for having YouTube channel editors and saying that means that he's bought or whatever. He's out there pretending gameplay footage that isn't his is his. Yeah, you're right, liked Rogan for that vibe until he went straight up stupid. Keep in mind, this isn't just a median voter thing. Everyone is like this to some extent. The trustworthiness of a person is, for the most part, determined by the extent to which you look at them and see similarities between yourself and them, things you relate to, things you admire, not like a synthesized sort of amalgamation of all their positions and relative correctness. You know, that's not, for the most part, people don't make determinations like that. A lot of you like what I say first and foremost because you think that I'm relatable or funny or whatever, or at least that's how you get your foot in the door. The positions come after that. That's why being funny is so important if you're trying to convince people of something. You know, it disarms people's like initial distrust. Hugely important. Despite how intelligent and informative they often are, you know, a scientist who just calmly and uncharismatically expresses the results of the data that they've arrived at via research will almost never convince people, even though they are the best possible source to get that kind of information from. You all get me. Anyway, giant Elon crash out. It's incredibly funny. I genuinely hope that this leads to a turn in some of the like key communities. If he's losing both the Nazi and the gamer communities, those are two like pretty big chunks of support for Elon Musk being like whisked away, you know? Being attractive is a +3 to all roles. Yeah, well, that's also why Elon's in the back foot right now. You get me. Oh, and only Ian Miles Chung will remain. Oh yeah, not even to speak on the absolute insanity of, I guess, like the precedent that you've established where making a YouTube video criticizing Elon Musk for something that he's objectively done can lead to you getting your checkmark taken away, him leaking your DMs, and him attacking you directly as the owner of the platform that he's posting on. You know, like on X, the everything app, the free speech app where everything happens, you're only ever one petty disagreement with him away from getting blown up on social media, which is, to be fair, exactly what has happened with Donald Trump for like a decade now, where if a Republican politician stepped against him, they would be met with the same response. It's just very funny. Didn't Elon then back down and give Asmon his checkmark back? Cowardly behavior. Yeah, I guess he must have given it back sometime within the last few hours, because I see that it's on his page now. If anything, that's kind of more embarrassing because it confirms with beyond a shadow of a doubt that removing Asmongold's checkmark was just Elon Musk's crash out and had nothing to do with any like legit, like it removes even the slightest possibility of a legitimate explanation for his blue checkmark being taken away. You know what I mean? Like it's so, see, it's back now. It's so funny. I love the Grok suggested responses to what Elon did. Why remove the verification badge? Is leaking DMs ethical? I guess you'd have to ask the owner of the site. You know, I was pretty good at World of Warcraft back in the day. Tapas Kekius. I can't believe that Kekius Maximus would embarrass himself like this. Me at 3 a.m. reading all 346 comments of two strangers arguing online. Laughing, crying emoji. Phenomenal. Me when I'm not mad. 19 minutes ago. This is blood libel. And it's a reference to whites enslaving people. Fantastic. If he was smart, he'd wait 4 months and keep his head down. Oh, he could never not post for 4 months. You know who hasn't posted at all lately? Vivek Ramaswamy. Ever since Vivek did that giant rambling post on how H-1B visas are good because Americans need to spend less time having fun and more time like working in child slave mines or something, he has just been gone. What happened to Doge, man? Was this literally like one of his last posts? Did he stop after this? He hasn't posted since January 3rd? Oh no, he posted a reply on January 5th. Just some like just some little, he's gone, man. Losing the good graces. This is the person that Elon is intent to work with in Doge. They're gonna quietly replace him, like how JD Vance hasn't been heard from. Same hole they threw Vance into. Yeah, I wonder, like, the whole point of this project is to remind the MAGA, you are the biggest fools in the world. You are being duped. Your country, your people, your race, if you give a shit about that, all of it is being robbed by the world's stupidest, greediest men, and you are okay with all of it as long as those men then tell you that the real, like, culprits of your deprivation are brown people. The poorest brown people in the world are actually the reason why you have no money or something like that. Even though the same like material worsening of conditions has struck every part of the United States, whether or not there are immigrants there, whether or not there are black and brown people there, for some reason, somehow, it's whatever. It's some meaningless cultural signifier as opposed to the very obvious siphoning of wealth going up to the top. And like, you have to keep pointing at this and going, when are you going to fucking learn, dude? Hey, MAGA bros, do you think Elon's like crashing out, insane lashing out at people who used to support him, and pathological lying about gaming might mean he might have lied about other stuff? Like, do you think there's a slight possibility that the wealthiest man in the world dedicating years of his life to consistently lying about something that doesn't matter might indicate he's lied about things that actually do matter too? It's not like a small lie. It's like theater that he's kept up for years. You think it might possibly indicate like something about his trustworthiness, largely? Oligarchy is not when the same 4 or 5 families control US politics for several decades. Oligarchy is when a very successful entrepreneur is tapped to advise a populist president those 4 or 5 families hate, FYI. It's true. The Clintons and Trumps famously hate each other. Me when I'm the most easily duped man on the planet. I think that Elon Musk stands against the oligarchy. It makes me wonder how much of his likes and replies are just bots. I don't know. I'm kind of like trailing at this point. The tinfoil on that fell for it again award is so shiny though. Yeah. Just want more of them. I need to get like a physical one of those because it'd be funny to put on sometimes.